Hey, what's going on, Ant family? Welcome back to another daily analysis here with DTA, talking about AMP only. So, hopping right into it, looking at CoinGecko.com, we can see that we are still ranked at the number 42 spot. And currently today we are up 4.1%, right? So, let's head on over to etherscan.com really quick just to take a look at the number of holders that we have, right? I find that this is, pretty affirming, to let us know that, there are a lot of new holders inside of the AMP market. So currently, right now, we can see that we're at 26,615 holders, up 0.226% from yesterday with steady growth, right? So this is what we want to see. We don't want to see people exiting the market. We don't want to see people dumping their bags. And again, this all supports our case of the accumulation that we see on the charts, right, with that sideways movement. So, speaking of the charts, let's hop right into that. So, I wanted to start off today's analysis by looking at the weekly chart, right? So, one of the things that I did take off of the weekly chart is the trend line that we originally had, right? And I took that off because, to be completely honest, we did break that trend line on the weekly, right? But that doesn't mean that we're in, a bear market or a downturn. And why do I say that? Well, I'm going to show you, right? Um, it's worthwhile, taking measured movements, or measuring how far a previous move was to reassess your judgment with what's going on the day to day, right? So we know that from May 17th all the way up until June 14th, we had a huge run up, right? From 2 cents all the way up to a high of 12 cents, right? So if we measure that, from this candle of May 17th all the way up to our high during June 14th, we can see that this was a 378% move, right? This was a 378% move over the course of 28 days. 28 days, we gained 378%. Now, right, if we measure how far we've come down since our all-time high, right, to where we are now, we only pulled back 61%. So in retrospect, we are still up over 300%, right? And this pullback happened over the course of 28 days. So again, 28 is that golden number, it seems to be like, right? Again, we've only pulled back 61%. We are still up over 300% from our, major impulse from the all-time high, right? And this is pretty good. This is pretty significant. And this should let you know, right, that we are not in a bear market for AMP, right? We are not in a downtrend because we are still up over 300%, right? So, little things like this can help to give new traders or all of the speculators a little bit more of a better judgment, just by, measuring the movements. So that's what we have going on the weekly. And currently we are floating on the Fib 786, right? Using the Fib retracement tool. We see that we failed to hold up on the Fib. We failed to hold up on the Fib 618, which is a golden number, using the Fib retracement tool. But right now we are holding up pretty strong on the weekly Fib 786. We could, bounce around this for a little bit, in between the range that we're currently in before moving back up and, retesting the Fib 618. That is very likely, but again, we have to see how, the candlestick for this week closes, and possibly the candlestick for next week. So more to come with that. Sunday, we should have some confirmations. Hopping right into the daily chart, we can see that, our support line is still holding strong, right? We did wick below it yesterday, July 13th. But today, opening candle for the 14th, we see that, there is a lot of buying pressure. And we can see that just from this long wick of, today's candlestick. We see that, there is some buying pressure. This could be related to a number of factors that we're going to hop into a little bit later during today's analysis. But, for the most part, we can see that our support line is being retested after we broke below it slightly. And this is normal to happen, right? And we can understand what's going on a little bit more if we look at the 4 hour, right? Now, yesterday's daily analysis, I did say that we had some preliminary support at the 0.047 mark and also at the 0.043 price label, right? And we can see that, this kind of played out exactly to the T, right? And this is why I say it's always important to go back in history to look where, your support and resistance zones are, because, we didn't change anything about this chart, but we do see that, we formed the doji here, which is a signal for a reversal pattern, right? And then we had this, bullish impulse, right? So we are moving back up, right? It looks like we are moving to retest this market structure here, which will put us right at the 0.054 price range, right? If we can close above this range, right? If we can close above the 0.054 mark, I think that, we'll have a good chance of, possibly moving higher to look to close above the 0.055 range, right? Now, if we can close above the 0.055 price range, then I think there's, a strong possibility for us to again move up to our previous resistance of the 0.063 mark, right? And that's something that we definitely want to see. But again, there's some contributing factors to what's going on right here. And this kind of leads me into what I'm about to pull up now. So, there has been confirmations that, AMP open market purchases are now happening, right? Shout out to the Reddit community. If you guys haven't found the AMP token subreddit, I definitely suggest you to join it. We have a link for the Reddit inside of the description for today's daily analysis video, as well as all the other videos that I do on the daily basis. So make sure you click on that Reddit link and join the community so you can stay up to date with all of the news and newest things happening inside and outside of the AMP community. But right here, we can see from one of the AMP mods, the moderators inside of the Discord, that, we have some confirmation that open AMP purchases are happening, right? And he says that I took his response to mean yes, they're happening right now, and we will continue to increase as more of the COVID release roll off, right? So for those of you who may not have known, AMP open market purchases as well as merchant fees were turned off due to COVID. But, as we continue to roll off due to reliefs, those open market purchases as well as the merchant fees are going to be turned on slowly. And the moderator goes on to continue to say that, there is not any detail on when the AMP is bought and distributed, but since the rewards are allocated every 15 minutes, it's safe to say that the market buys are happening at least every 15 minutes, if not live, right? So this is pretty massive. This is pretty bullish. Who's purchasing AMP from the open markets? All of Flex's partners, right? More than likely, right? Who will be hit with these merchant fees using AMP, as collateral during transactions? All of Flex's partners, right? And we know who Flex's partners are, right? Big businesses, global merchants, global deals, right? Pretty interesting. So again, that could definitely contribute to what we're seeing right now on the charts. But again, just understanding it from a purely technical perspective, we knew that we had preliminary support right here at the 0.047 mark, right? So for anybody that did have, buy order set here, congratulations. You should very much be in profit. And this is a great buying area. And last but not least, Flexa and AMP is also in the news, right? So Taking a look at marketrealist.com. The headline for this says, where to look for the next cryptocurrency to explode in 2021, right? We can do a quick control F, and what do you know? Boom, we have AMP. Next cryptocurrencies to explode amongst DeFi tokens. DeFi, decentralized finance, right? If you think about, decentralized finance or even finance from a traditional perspective, collateral is really the backbone behind any sort of lending or borrowing, right? The lenders, they normally have a reserve, right? And that reserve is used as collateral in case a borrower fails to repay back what was lent to them, right? And this is why AMP is uniquely positioned not only in the DeFi world, but also in the CeFi world, and also, with traditional finance, because collateral has no boundary. It's used in every sort of finance as well as form of value transfer that you can think of. It has no barrier. It has no boundaries. It can expand to any industry as well as to any business, right? This is a universal use case. And as more adoption happens with the AMP token, we'll start to see new use cases for it, right? We're already seeing new businesses start to apply new, business models, from purchasing AMP from the open market and then staking it, by creating, staking pools. So I'm excited for what the future holds, right? Um, and also we have, Visa, right? Just sort of paving the way and showing us the profound use case of AMP and Flexa, right? Not a direct competitor, definitely an indirect competitor, but, just sort of, again, uh, making this statement and sort of validating the use case for AMP as we go forward. So that's what we have for today's daily analysis. Nothing too crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. We definitely still have some things still in place, such as, the bullish crab harmonic pattern that we spotted on the 4 hour, right? We're still sort of waiting to see if this will play out or not, right? In my perspective, in my professional opinion, we have not invalidated this pattern yet. It is just very long, and we are moving sideways for a very, very long time, right? If we measure to see how long we've been moving sideways, bringing us to, this candle on the 4 hour, we've actually been moving sideways for 22 days and 12 hours. And again, the longer we continue to move sideways, the bigger the move to the upside. Just always remember that. So again, guys, adoption is happening, right? Merchant fees are being turned on, and, open market purchases for AMP is now happening. So, it's just a matter of patience. If you guys like this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And until tomorrow, DTA is out.